Happy Monday, everybody. I'm so excited to be coming back to you with a new Marianne Monday. And I'm also very excited because today I am using a new selfie light and a new microphone. So hopefully you will be able to see and hear me a little bit better. And I don't know about you, but I can't think of anything more amazing than to be able to see this lovely face and hear this lovely voice, even in a more clear and concise way on a Monday. So anyhow, in full disclosure, I have had a lot of life happen in the past couple of weeks. So when I was trying to think about what I wanted to talk about, I had a difficult time choosing which event and which life lesson do I want to talk about on this particular Monday. And I decided to land on confidence. And what happens when you encounter a situation where you did feel really confident and then somebody said something that completely crushed that. So a little background to why I'm talking about this. It was a couple of weeks ago, and I had the opportunity to go out to Washington, D.C. for a few days and do a training on communication with one of our military groups. And I was so excited about this because it was really important work that they were doing, and it was also really important training that I was doing. So it was one of those situations that as soon as I got the call, I knew that I was going to move heaven and earth so that I could go to Washington, D.C. and do this stuff. And one of the things that I love about Work Warrior is being able to actually go and be helpful and give tips to make people's lives and people's management lives much, much easier. So here I was stoked, I was pumped, I couldn't believe I had this opportunity. It's kind of that whole thank you, universe, this is amazing. Anyhow, then the phone call happened. And I was talking to the liaison between myself and the military base, and all of a sudden they asked, "Do you have military experience?" And I'm like, "No, I don't, but that doesn't matter." And the response was, "Well, what do you mean you don't have military experience?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't have it, right? There's a yes or no question, and I don't have it." And then I was asked, "Well, have you done a lot of military training in the background?" And I'm like, no, none comes to mind. So what's up? What's the deal? Why are you asking me these questions? And all of a sudden, I was told about how, well, the military is very different than civilian life. And a lot of times civilians will go into these trainings and not really know what they're talking about. And so I'm just slightly concerned over the fact that you were selected to do this training and you don't have any experience. And you want to talk about confidence going from, I am so excited that I get to do this, this is going to be amazing and awesome, to all of a sudden second guessing my ability to go in and train a group of people. And what was interesting is when we get into the situation of second guessing ourselves and always questioning, should I do this or shouldn't I do this, or am I qualified or not qualified? It's almost like you have a brain block and things that you could normally see, you can't see again. So here's the situation. I was sitting there, I had about 5 days to prepare for this training, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'm looking at the material, I'm trying to create it, and I'm like, I don't know. This is not working. I'm clearly not qualified to do this. I don't even know, I should have just said no, I should call them right now and have somebody else do it. All of those what ifs, because I know that we all have those what ifs going through our brains. Well, that's what's going through mine. And here's what happened. I had a decision to make. And the decision that I was going to make was I could either act like I did before that phone call, which was I am super pumped and I am super excited to be doing this training, or I could let this person's comments about how I was unqualified actually make me unqualified to do the training because I couldn't put it together. Got it? So my two choices, either forget that I heard the comment and go about my normal business and do what I would normally do, or let this comment completely crush my confidence so that when I did go to DC, it would be the worst training in the world. So I had a decision to make. And let me tell you what I did and how I made the decision to do what I did. Okay, so the technique that I'm teaching you is actually from one of my favorite books by Byron Katie called I Need Your Love, Is That True? Now, one thing about what I do is I read books in a lot of different areas and then take that information and apply it to different situations. So even though this book is about relationships, it really did help me figure out this whole confidence issue using Byron Katie's The Work. So I want to make sure I give credit where credit is due, and this is adapted from her work. So the very first thing that I did is I asked myself, Marianne, is it true that you are unqualified to do military training? And my answer was, I don't know. I don't know. Somebody just told me that I was, and because I don't think that I've ever done it before, like, it's possible. So then the next question that I asked myself was, do you have any evidence to prove that you are not qualified to do this training? And here's where it got interesting. I thought about it and I'm like, well, I've trained over 15,000 people all across the United States, and I'm going to bet that some of them were military, and I have never gotten the feedback that I sucked at what I was doing because I wasn't military. So in other words, this whole idea that I was not qualified to do what I was hired to do, all of a sudden became null and void, at least with regards to evidence. So then I asked myself another question, and that question was this. When you think that you are unqualified to do something, how do you feel? And I'm like, well, I feel really crappy, and I have creative blocks that do not allow me to do the work that I would normally do. Simple enough. Then the second question that I asked myself was, when you don't believe that, in other words, you think that you are qualified to do the training, how do you feel? And I'm like, well, that's an easy one. I feel amazing. I feel awesome. I feel pumped. I'm like, yeah, let's go do this. So two very different feelings. One, I feel like shit. Two, I feel amazing and awesome. Now here's the choice. Which am I going to choose? And at this moment, I chose, you know what? I'm going to disregard those comments, and I'm going to create this training, and I am going to act as though I am 100% qualified to do what I've been hired to do. So what that did is it opened up the creativity and allowed me to continue forward and disregarding this feedback that I received. Now, this is something else that was really important. Aside from making a choice, I had to figure out, what am I going to do to protect myself while I am doing the training so that I do not all of a sudden lose my confidence? And so I had to put boundaries in place. Yes, the B word, boundaries. And what I decided to do was focus for those 2 days solely on the training and did not have contact with the liaison, because if something would have happened in that training, or I would have received some type of negative feedback like, well, have you thought about this, or have you thought about that, or did you do this, or did you do that? All of a sudden, this work that I did to mentally prepare myself to go in and do the training would completely be crushed. And so I simply said, you know what? I am not going to have any contact with this person. And then once the training is done, we can reconvene and debrief appropriately. As it was, oh my gosh, that's really inappropriate grammar for a Monday. Turns out, how about we use that phrase? Turns out that I actually went in and did the training, and it was a rock star, and I had so much fun, and they learned so much. So in other words, I made the right choice, that I actually was qualified to do the training, and I'm so glad that that's what I did. So, moral of the story, wrapping this all up. We live in a world where people say stupid things. They just do. And they don't even realize that they're saying it, right? And so, in other words, when I was having this conversation, I promise you, the person did not think to themselves, I'm going to do everything I can to smash Marianne's confidence. That thought did not even cross their minds. And yet, sometimes they still behave in ways that crush our confidence. So, what I had to do was extend generosity, that this person really had the client's best interest at heart and my best interest at heart, and making sure that it was a good match. And then walk through the process of, is it true that I'm not qualified? What evidence do I have? When I think I'm not qualified, how do I feel? When I do think I'm qualified, how do I feel? What's the choice that I make? And then what are boundaries that I have to put in place to make sure I'm able to go and do my job? So what I'm going to recommend that you do is write down those questions. And the next time somebody says something that absolutely crushes your confidence, I want you to go through that process. Is this true? What evidence do I have? How do I feel when I think that it's true? How do I feel when I don't think that it's true? And then I want you to go make a choice and put boundaries in place. There are so many confidence crushers out there. They're not meant to be out there. People don't mean to crush your confidence or your self-esteem. However, it still happens. And it is upon you to make the decision, how am I going to behave when that happens? So anyhow, that's my Marianne Monday. I have about 16 Marianne Mondays all lined up, but that is all you're going to get for today. So wherever you are, I hope that you are having a wonderful day and your week is off to a great start. And I will see you on Friday when I release my Fun Friday video where I am going to show you how to pack the most perfect carry-on. Okay, y'all. Bye.